expect more of your coworkers to bring up Blender and go, wow, have you seen what Blender's doing? Blender looks really cool right now. Expect more of that discussion. So that's my prediction, 2021. Expect that. Number 4, because we're going to move along. Procedural geometry spreads. So Houdini has had procedural-based stuff, right? Just as a workflow. Houdini is just sort of procedural. Everything is node-based. It's had that for a while, but other software has been slow, and like Houdini is sort of seen as this outlier that's doing this weird thing. Now, I think most of the industry has got the memo that nodes are awesome and everything should be nodes. So Blender's had this idea of like the everything nodes project for a while, and particle nodes that I remember talking to a developer about 5 years ago at the conference and going like, come on, man, how much longer is it going to be? I don't want to come back here next year and there's not going to be any particle nodes. And that was 5 years ago, right? And it's just been like kicking the can down the road. Like, when is this thing actually gonna happen? And then thankfully, Geometry Nodes was announced as, it's like now they're doing sprints for Blender development, which is fantastic, by the way. Love that. And it's now going to be in the next version of Blender. So 2.92, I think we're up to. Is that right? Yeah, so it's going to be in that release, and it's already in alpha. Like, you can already try it in the latest, like the cutting bleeding edge version of Blender. You can try it, and yeah, basically what it will enable you to do is like for stuff like I think the goal is to like just start with like scattering. If you want to scatter objects, go from it being a particle system to something that you do with nodes. And thank God we've needed that for so long. Like, I just did my forest tutorial, like a cabin in the woods in a forest. I just put that up a couple of days ago. It's going really well. You should check out the video if you haven't already. But yeah, that is a perfect example. Like, when you have a tree and it's on an object and it has to scatter a certain way, can you create rules so that other objects, like smaller plants that would survive in areas where there would be less sunlight, how do you have that as a rule system, like a hierarchy, so that these objects must be around these objects, etc.? You can't do that with particles, right? It's so outdated particles. So stuff like that is going procedural. It's geometry nodes. So Blender is one, but Maya also got the Bifrost engine, I think a couple of releases ago. I've heard it's pretty glitchy and pretty buggy and very slow, but it does have it. So things like scattering. Another use case is like if you're working on a game and it takes place in a city and you need to make a whole bunch of building models, right? Yeah, instead of having to model each building, go like, a building with big windows, a building with smaller windows, and all this kind of thing, you would essentially create a program where you would have those parameters. Much like if you've used Substance Designer, having exposed parameters so that you can do that, but having it for geometry, right? So it'd be like a building generator that you would create in a program, right? And you would do that for the brunt of the work. You would do this procedurally, and you just, and maybe you hit a button and it just like exports like infinite variations of different types of buildings, right? And then an artist would go in there and add the different touches, like have a hole in the building or a big, there's a bridge that goes under it or something like that. Like, kind of the brunt of the work is done by an engine. So a game like Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man on PS5, Miles Morales, I think they used Houdini for it. I know there's last Spider-Man, they used Houdini, so I'm sure. But that's a perfect example. I'm sure most of those buildings were done with procedural engines, programs that did most of the work, and then stuff applied to it. So that, I think, is just gonna keep expanding out to the industry. So how will it affect you? I think certain workflows, like I said, scattering objects and making repeated objects of a certain type are going to become procedural. Right. So yeah, just basically keep your tabs on the industry and know when workflows change, because I think that it's very important. So be on my list if you're not already. This Week in 3D, blenderguru.com/This Week in 3D if you want to sign up to that newsletter so that you get notified when things change, and it'd be interesting. Speaking of cutting edge, here's my advert. At Polygon, we read the industry trends, we talk to artists, studios, and then we deliver the highest quality assets on the market that solve real problems. So for example, plants. We looked at all the plant models available on the market. We looked at what worked, what didn't. And then we tried to create the best photorealistic plant that solves problems. So we realized that plants need to work in multiple render engines. They need to look good. They need to be photoreal, but they also need to look like plants. And a lot of photoscan stuff is sort of like thrown together. It doesn't look very good. So we used a hybrid method of photo scanning the leaves, getting the right translucency, alpha maps, normal maps, all that kind of stuff. And then we also procedurally generated that to create the rest of the plant. So it's a hybrid approach. Whereas for things like rocks, we did the exact same thing, discovered a delighting process using some proprietary methods for getting rid of shadows in rocks, so that things are like ultra crisp and they look good from any angle. But we did that like the traditional way, just photo scanning, right? So every asset that we create has its own unique challenges, and we try to solve them using our artists that do all the brunt work so you don't have to. So that is what Polygon is about. Speaking of proceduralism, we also dive really deep into that this year. So we created a bunch of what we call generators. So the typical way, like the traditional method for thinking of downloading a texture is like, I need a brick texture. Let's go to this website and download a texture. Procedural workflows enable you to download one texture of brick and then change it depending on whatever type of brick you want, whether it's like dark brick, rectangular, square brick, the brick that pops out of the wall. Actually, the generator doesn't do that, but it does most other things. It'll do everything. So those substance files, they're kind of, everyone knows about them, but ours do sort of everything within a category. It's expansive. So far we've got brick. We have also got fabric, leather, marble, terrazzo, and wood. Each one of those things spent thousands of man hours on. I think one of the ones was like 1,700 hours. A lot of hours went into this. So that basically it does everything, and you have one little file and you can create infinite variations of terrazzo or marble or wood for your latest project. So that's what you can get at Polygon. So POLIIGON.com. It is my company. It is a team of guys that I love, and they are really good at what they do. So if you want to take your artwork to the next level, Polygon.com. All right. Hey, that might be the smoothest advert I've ever done. Probably because I was reading off a script. I thought maybe I should make a script. So I did. All right. We've got 3 more to go, guys. 3 more trends in 2021. Number 5, real-time ray tracing for creation. So we know about real-time ray tracing in games, right? RTX, NVIDIA did their whole thing. It's the new thing. And then it's kind of cool in a game, but it slows down performance a lot, right? That's what it became. Real-time ray tracing. It's cool and everything, but what I'm talking about is when you're creating something, so within your 3D software. So stuff that actually affects you as an artist, not the gamer, not the end consumer. So now most engines, almost all engines, have viewport denoising. Viewport denoising through NVIDIA's optics, whatever product you call it, right? That uses AI to look at the noise of the image and then figure out what the true image should be without having to spend much extra render time. So it does that in the viewport now. So Blender just got it, I think, a couple of releases ago. You click a little button, and then as you move around the viewport, it's denoised and it looks like everything's lit the way it should, and it is amazing. And I have a Titan RTX. In fact, I have 2 of them, but of course in the viewport, it only uses one of the cards. It's when you render that it uses both. So I have the Titan, and it's pretty good. It's almost real time, right? The 3090 is more than twice as fast, I believe, per 3090. It is drastically cheaper than the RTX Titan. It is $1,500 is what it retails for. You can't find them anywhere in stock. I know, I want to get them too. But when they do become in stock, hopefully in 2021, then you'll be able to pick one up for hopefully around $1,500 or less. And when you do, you'll be able to join the League of Artists now enjoying real-time denoising, basically real-time, I should say, basically. It's like a couple of frames off maybe, but it's incredible. So I've seen some footage of people using the 3090 and the viewport denoising. Yeah, it basically looks like real time. And it's real time. It's not like Unreal Engine or RTX where they show you the before and after and you go like, I don't know which one is better. I told NVIDIA this on the phone, like, because we were talking about something, and And I'm like, I got to give you some feedback, guys. Your marketing kind of dropped the ball on the RTX thing, because I couldn't tell, and I'm a 3D artist, I couldn't tell what was better. And if you read the comments on YouTube videos, like some of them, it was like Metro Exodus, RTX on and off, and like the before and after example, like in some of them, inarguably, the before example looked better than the after. And I assume it's because the game was made with baked lighting in mind. And then NVIDIA was like, oh, can you demo the RTX? And they had to go through and like strip the lighting back to nothing and then make it be lit dynamically. And it didn't have the same polish as the proper game did. And it just felt like, So yeah. And I also just looked at some before and after of the Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, which has real-time ray tracing. You hit a button and you go, do you want it on or do you want it off? And it drops the performance. It goes from 60 frames a second to 30 at 4K, which is still amazing, but 60 still looks way better. And between them, like, yes, if it's a very reflective surface, so if like they had like characters standing on like this glass floor and like obviously it looks amazing there. You can see your own reflection when you like land on a building, like through the windows and everything. That looks great, but when you're flying through the city, I mean, you can't really tell the difference. So yeah, for the end user, it's like, do I want to take the performance hit? I think buttery smooth is a lot better. So anyways, point is, I think it's a big deal. I think that the 3090 is essentially, it's basically for creation, what I'm talking about for this point. It's two tech that sort of has come together. It's optics denoising and it's the 3090. Both of them thanks to NVIDIA. So because of that, us artists get to enjoy real, true, proper ray tracing, no fakery, where it's going to look exactly the way it will in the render because it's doing the render just in the viewport. And it's amazing. So check that out. Real-time ray tracing for creation. Number 6, virtual production goes from fringe to standard. So virtual production, if you haven't seen any of the videos, it's probably popped up in your feed on YouTube. There's a lot of hubbuzz around it, but basically the old method of shooting actors against a green screen is probably going to go away and be replaced with LED walls and real-time VFX as they act. Wow. Why do I think that? Well, green screens are convenient for artists and maybe production as a whole because you get to fine-tune and polish the product right down to where it needs to be. It is very inconvenient for directors, camera operators, and actors who have to act on a green screen and go, wow, stepping out into this imaginary cave, look at this thing. And then the director goes, can you pretend there's like an alien that's crawling along the roof and you're reacting to it? And they go, ooh, like, wasn't real enough. Do it again. Oh, so these LED walls, basically they're using Unreal Engine in real time, and they've got artists, VFX artists on set with like a team of like computers, and the director will go like, we need a canyon, move those rocks from there to there, put the tree there because I want to have a shot that sort of goes from here to here, and the artist goes like, oh shit, and they move the things around. But then the director gets to have the camera and move around, and it's all shot in camera. It kind of blew my mind. I'm like, okay, so when do they actually do for the final shot? Do they add that stuff back in? And it's like, no, it's shot from the camera, and that's what you get. And that's crazy like that. I'm like, whoa, there'd be a lot of sacrifices there. And like, you have to change a lot to think about how you go about it because, that like if you're shooting Transformers or something, like the Transformer model has to be finished and, production ready on day one of shoot, not like do the shoot and then, work on it for the next year to get the finished Transformer model. So it flips the process, but the advantages are huge. If you listen to Jon Favreau, he's been really the big, I guess, proponent, is that the word? The guy, advocate for the thing. Because he used it on The Mandalorian, I believe. That's his, right? The Mandalorian? Or his is The Lion King. He used, maybe that's a different thing. Anyways, the point is the whole idea of flipping the production from doing it all at the end versus doing it on set with the camera live is a huge change, and directors love it. Camera operators love it, and actors will love it because they get to act on scene with the real stuff around them. So, the other huge thing, like reflections. So The Mandalorian has a character in like shiny stuff, and if it was shot on green screen, that would be horrible. You'd have to figure that all out. Get rid of the green fringe across, shiny plated metal. But with an LED wall, it wraps around them. So it's, I didn't even really explain it, but it's like a 360, it's a volume. It's a 360 thing that pans around them. And it links up with the camera motion. So as the depth changes, they can make the scene look bigger or smaller depending on the depth. It's very clever. Anyways, I think that is going to go from being a fringe to standard. Maybe not in this year, but certainly it's on the rise. I think green screens will be used for select things, but I think virtual production, especially things that are like VFX heavy, right? So, like Avengers type productions, I just think the advantages are huge to just go, virtual production. Anyways, so how does this affect you? I would say if you were in VFX, I'd be learning Unreal Engine 4 and 5 ASAP, because that is what is used. I don't know of Unity being used for it or any other thing, but I would say do that. And even if you don't know it well enough, at least when one day your studio director goes, hey, does anyone know Unreal Engine? You get to put up your hand and maybe stay on payroll, right? Maybe you get to go to the production shoot that day and get introduced to the virtual volume, the volume, and figure out how it works on the job, but you have a limited knowledge of it, as limited as it may be. It will help you just sort of stay up to date on tech and not be one of those dinosaurs that just says, oh, I've been doing 2D my whole life. I'm going to stay with that because Disney always has jobs in 2D, right? You don't become one of those guys. So that's what I would do. And also, if you're a shareholder of Epic, congratulations. You're probably going to get richer. Number 7, and the final mention is VR workflows are likely to increase. So headset adoption is very slow for consumers, as I'm sure everybody knows. Nobody has too many friends that have VR headsets. They're usually like your mate who is like really into everything. He was the first one to get a 3D printer. He's always lining up to get the latest tech. He's got the developer release of things. It's like, it's still that fringe thing for consumers, but in production for artists that are creating things, it's on the rise. So tools like Gravity Sketch and Medium, Adobe Medium, they bought it from I don't know who, but those two things, like they're used in production already for concepts. So it's sort of like just building like simple, like 3D scenes that just need to be like slapped, put together to like visualize things. It's gone from like concept sketching on paper to digital in Photoshop to Blender and other 3D tools to get perspective right, to now just being like put on the headset and like draw. And if you listen to my old interviews from 2 years ago with Finian McManus, he's working on the new Avatar. I think it was 3 years ago. Like they've been using VR since then for concept sketching. So it's already been there, but it's been fringe of the industry, like artists using it. But up until now, most of 3D work has been done on the monitor, right? The brunt of 3D, monitor and mouse. Hopefully 2020 is the year that software starts stepping up and start increasing the VR capabilities of their software. So Unreal Engine seems to be the furthest along in terms of like a package that's adopted it. They've got a bunch of really cool stuff going on in there. Blender and 3ds Max has seen inspection. I know Blender does. I think 3ds Max, I remember seeing something of that. And ZBrush, so far as I know, it's the one that would be the most likely to benefit from this workflow because you get to sculpt and sketch in VR, has nothing as far as I know. I don't know. It's probably like a preview tech. I'm sure someone, Pixelogic Enterprise, is working on something, but so far nothing. I think that, look, I mean, it doesn't make any sense that we're working on a monitor and with a mouse to operate things in a 3D environment, right? Especially, I mean, this is why it makes so much sense for concept art, because you need to visualize how a scene is going to look in virtual space, as in like where the camera is going to be, where characters and avatar or whatever is going to be. And seeing it on a screen like this doesn't give you the perspective, doesn't show you how things relate to others in terms of space, because that's not how your eyes work. It's not very good at reading things like that. If you put on goggles, you can actually be in the scene. You can see where the tree is. You can turn around and then see where the tank is. It's a completely different way to visualize things. And I think that 3D is eventually going in that direction, and that 3D software packages, Max, Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D, and Lightwave will not, I'm sure. I don't know. Lightwave's still there. It's kicking around. I think that they're all going to move to VR workflows eventually. Like I was thinking this the other day, if I can clear my throat. Sorry. What would you call it? The 3D, camera tracking, right? The latest forest animation that I did of the cabin in the woods, the camera in the forest, it was like a smooth pan in. I wanted to have it like walking, like the camera's looking down and then it's looking up and you've got footsteps. You could manually animate it. I could have done it with like motion. I could have got my DSLR and stepped outside and then recorded something and then ported that over there. I could have done that. But I don't know where things are in space. I don't know where the trees are. I don't know where the cabin is. I want to have that interaction. And that's something that The Lion King wanted for the new 2019 version of The Lion King. They used exactly this tech for that. They had it all in VR. I think Unreal Engine, as far as I know, where the characters are going to be. And they recorded the camera motion virtually with like just live camera motion, so that as the character animates and moves from one end of the scene or whatever, the cameraman can move just the way a real camera would, and it gets that real feeling. That's a huge advantage. And it's something that you can really only do with VR. There's a channel, what's it called? Cinematography, Unreal Engine, or virtual cinematography. There's one guy who's known, his name is Matt something. That narrows it down. I don't know. I'll put the link maybe in the description, but that guy's got like whole series talking about it. He's done like talks for Unreal Engine and stuff. But that workflow, it's similar to the virtual production that I just talked about, but it's also for animated fully CG projects with no live actors. It's for like the previs side of things. It's very cool. Anyways, I think VR is going to get there. It's just going to increase this year. So that's the trend to look out for. Now, honorable mentions, because there's a bunch of other tech here that I think is worth talking about, but doesn't get its own point because I don't know how important or whatever it's going to be. Next gen gaming consoles, okay? Because PS5 just was released. I think there's an Xbox. I don't know what it's called. That's how you know PlayStation's going to win the console war. I saw everything to do with PlayStation 5. I know exactly what the tech does and everything, and I don't even know the name of the Xbox. Sorry if you're an Xbox fanboy, but I don't know what it is. Anyways, this year, last year, 2020, PlayStation 5 and Unreal Engine 5 both had massive announcements. So there was discussion that low-res gaming models might become a thing of the past because PlayStation 5 was supposed to have like SSD instant load, so you wouldn't have to wait for loading anything. And as well as that, Unreal Engine 5 has this nanite technology, which is supposed to stream geometry and automatically tessellate it depending on how close it is to the camera. Very cool stuff. And then the same with lighting. PlayStation 5 is supposed to be able to do ray tracing. The new Spider-Man does that. And Unreal Engine 5 has got what's called Lumite, which is, It doesn't use ray tracing, but it does enable dynamic lighting. It's like a different thing. It uses like small, medium, and large shapes, and it handles it differently depending on how big it is and far away from the camera. It's very interesting. But anyways, I didn't mention this as one of the main points because since those announcements came out, PlayStation 5 came out, and we can see that load times are still very much there. They are much faster than the PlayStation 4, but it's still like you're loading up a game. It could take 30 seconds. Some cases it's anywhere from like 3 to 10 times as fast as PlayStation 4, but it's still there. So the idea of like having unlimited geometry that just you don't have to worry about it anymore, like LODs, that was the thing. Like people said LODs wouldn't be needed. It doesn't seem to be true. Now, same with ray tracing, like it seems to hinder performance. So I can't see lighting. And that's the other thing, like it doesn't even seem to be full ray tracing. It just seems to be reflections. It seems to be the same lighting. I mean, I'm just looking at the Spider-Man example. It usually takes like a couple of years since a next-gen release for the next games to actually start using it properly. I suspect this ray tracing thing was maybe slapped onto Spider-Man. So it's all very in progress at the moment. It seems like it's not as hyped as was expected, right? As it usually goes. But Unreal Engine 5 is still yet to be released. That's coming out next year, and that'll be interesting. If Nanite does work as expected and you can stream geometry, then yeah, maybe the model size doesn't matter. Maybe the number of polys it has. I mean, in their demonstration, they said this is raw, straight from ZBrush, this high-res sculpt, and it's being streamed into the game. And it was like, what? And yeah, at first I was like, oh, exciting. No LODs at all. We can just like take from ZBrush and throw it in there. And then people on Twitter are like, wait a minute. What about download sizes? And I'm like, oh yeah, good point. Like a ZBrush model is like 2 gig. Like you're not going to have a sculpture in the back wall of a game like Tomb Raider or something. And that's just like direct from ZBrush and it's 2 gigabytes. No one's going to be able to download the game because it's going to be petabytes in size. So yeah, obviously geometry matters to an extent. It just probably won't matter as much as it does right now. So I don't know. That's why I sort of put it here as like a, maybe this will impact pipelines. I suspect workflows will change some way. It's just not yet clear. So I think watch GDC and other educational content that you can find related to the industry, any talks this year, and just see what gaming industry workflows have changed because of the new tech, because I'm certain it is impacted in some way. Next gen gaming always changes things. I just don't know to what degree with this release because it's still very early. Anyways, smaller note here, demand for simulations on GPU is growing. So EmberGen is smoke fire simulation software that uses the GPU to do real-time smoke sim and fire sim, whatever. And it's incredible. I've used it. It's like, oh my God, this is real time. I can change and make a tornado and I can change this feature and it's happening real time. If you've used smoke sims previous, you know how painful it is. For every little change you make, you have to wait a minute and then go, what was the value that I changed and what difference did it make? I can't even see. So having things in real time is just, you can't underestimate like how big of a boon this is for your output. Like you are able to iterate and create something far rapidly. It'll take like maybe days instead of months. So it's huge. And that was EmberGen, which is this new thing. I think Octane, I don't think they bought them. It wasn't acquired, but I know Octane users get it for free somehow. So I don't know, they've got some partnership there, but Houdini, in their latest release, they have announced GPU-based solvers for their smoke sim as well. And the cool thing about Houdini is that you can use the GPU to visualize it, to get the basic look of it and do all that stuff right, and then use the CPU solver for the final thing, which is more accurate, and you get that final look from the CPU. So that sounds exciting. I don't know how reliable it is. Don't know. Obviously, the proof is always proof is in the pudding. No, that's not it. It's one of those phrases. It's like the hype train doesn't mean anything. It's like how it actually works that matters. So anyway, another note here, AR will take off, maybe. AR. Augmented reality. So I say this because there's LiDAR on the iPhone now, on the latest iPad as well, previous to that. And Apple is obviously working on some sort of VR, AR thing. If you look up Apple glasses, you can see hints of it. It's rumored that either this year, 2021, or next year, 2022, that they are going to be releasing the product. So it might be a VR headset, or it might be an AR headset, which would be like transparent lenses, like glasses that you would wear. And then you would see, much like the Google glasses that that was canned many years ago. Basically that's what it's rumored to be. But I think the biggest thing it would disrupt would be the e-commerce industry, because I believe the idea is, you should be able to like visualize a product from your phone. Like, I mean, you can do it on your phone now, but maybe you do it on your glasses and go like, how's this dress going to look on me? And you can stand in front of the mirror with the glasses on and see how it's going to look on you because it's through transparent a screen, but it's got the screen on. It'll be cool, right? So that's the idea. So I think probably going to be directly competing with HoloLens or Magic Leap, Frog, whatever it's called, that one that's supposed to be the best at it. But anyways, it's coming. It's coming. I don't know how this is going to affect the 3D, but I know it's probably just going to be good for us because we're already experts in 3D. So it's just going to be great. More and more work for us, more people joining it. And there's going to be everyone from restaurant owners to everyone talking about how do I digitize my dish so that people can see what they're going to order at my restaurant whilst they're at home. And they can go, oh, so that's what the pizza looks like as I visualize it on my table. I'll order it, right? That's the idea. Okay. Small note here. The death of HDRs? ? I think HDRs have been great up until now because they have enabled artists to get photorealistic lighting and reflections in their scene. It's a 360 panorama image thing. I think they're dying because I just tried the new sky texture in Blender, the updated version, whatever it's called, and there's an equivalent thing in Unreal Engine 4. V-Ray's got something similar. And basically, instead of an HDR, you just use this one node, plug it in there, and you get to change the elevation where the sun is in the sky, the rotation, the air pollution, the size of the sun, everything. Incredible. And it offers so many advantages because when I was making this forest scene, I could choose exactly where I wanted the sun to be in it, and I got the exact right lighting. It was incredible. So I actually used it to like do this sort of like scattergun approach where I like randomized the noise for each of the values of the sun so that when I woke up, I had like 250 variations of lighting choices for my scene. It's part of my forest tutorial. If you haven't seen it, check that out. The one thing it doesn't do, because HDRs include this in an HDR, obviously, is clouds and mountains. So I actually think these are going to be two new categories that are an opportunity for people who sell models. Because when I picked up the sky texture thing, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. How do I cover up that empty horizon with some landscape, right? Because that's the great thing about HDRs is you don't have to worry about it. You got mountains and trees or whatever that was included with the HDR. It's just in the photo. You don't have that, so you have this empty hole in it. And I covered it up with some of the trees from the forest so you couldn't see it. But I tried to find mountains online and they're all like either way too old or like we need some like backdrop mountains for sale. So that's an opportunity. And then same with clouds. So I think most renderers, all renderers actually, major renderers support OpenVDB now, which is like a format for volumetrics. It's like a volume object type. And yeah, that means you can sell clouds now. So if you look on TurboSquid, you can find cloud packs and it's pretty cool. So I think, and in fact, I just saw for the Bifrost engine update for Maya in one of their release videos, they showed some of the clouds that they made with Bifrost. I don't know how, but they looked incredible. It looked like a photo. It was like from a plane, you know, like taken above the clouds and like all these scattered clouds. It looked really good. I was like, oh, they're like best looking CG clouds I've ever seen. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. And then the final one, as a honorable mention, I would say multi-user workflows are set to increase. So, and that is the final one to mention, really. But multi-user is, you know, when you open a blend file, when you open your 3D scene, whatever it is, and in whatever software, you can look at it and only you. If you want to have your coworker also work on the same scene as you, you have to tell them, work on this one object in a separate blend file. And then when you finish it, we can import it into this one. And then we've got the master here, right? And, you know, there's linking as well. So you can have it so that when they save it, it updates it over here. But it's still like, you can't have a scene file where you've got city blocks and have an artist move a city block from here to here and another artist change the lighting and another artist do this. And that's a problem when you've got artists across multiple departments, like Pixar, right? For each of their shots, they have, you know, animators animating things. Then it has to be handed off to the lighting department so they can do their lighting, and then it has to be done to this. And then it all has to be done in sequence. You can't have them work on something at the same time. So multi-user workflows, I think, are especially going to be prevalent in 2021 because, hey, pandemic, yeah, 2020 was a doozy. It's not going anywhere in 2021 though. The vaccine and all that stuff, I'm sure will take a little while to roll out. And the changes from this year are going to ripple through the technology sector for a while. So everyone knows remote work is on the rise and a bunch of things. We're going to feel it for the next decade. Things are going to change probably for the better for a lot of things, right? Less commuting, housing prices close to a city. Maybe they're going to fall a little bit because people aren't going to be living as close because they can work from home now. A lot of really, really good things, some bad things. I don't know. But I think overall, one of the things we'll probably notice in 3D is multi-user workflows increasing. So Unreal Engine, again, is one of the ones that is furthest along here because Epic made Fortnite. And good for them because they now have a machine that prints money. At least at its peak, like $300 million a month, which is pretty good. So they're putting everything into Unreal Engine and trying to make it cool. So yeah, they've got multi-user, I just watched like a demonstration of like 4 users working on a scene at the exact same time. Now, here's a cool thing. I talked about this, I think at the start of the year, I tweeted something. I'm like, wow, Unreal Engine's got this thing. When's it going to be in Blender? Because I think this is going to be big for the future. And people are like, oh, I don't know, whatever. And then I think this year, was it, what's the name of that studio? There was a big studio that is a supporter of Blender. And Ubisoft, that's right. I think they made this. They made the multi-user add-on for Blender. So I don't know how functional it is. I don't know the bugs or the problems with it or whatever. I'm sure there's limitations, but they demonstrated it in the 2020 Blender conference, which was online, where everyone sort of threw in a video, and it's pretty cool. So check that out if you haven't already. That is the podcast, guys. Oh my goodness. And I've lost my voice. Whew. All right. Thank you for listening, guys. I shouldn't be so out of breath by the end of it. That was episode 7. You can subscribe to this podcast now on Apple iTunes, as well as Spotify and all the other major places you get your podcasts from, so you can check it out there. Or, of course, you can just watch the video on YouTube and see my big dumb face for an hour. I hope this year is a great one, and I hope last year wasn't too catastrophic for you. Maybe it was even good. Maybe you got to spend some time with the family like I did. Maybe too much time with the family, right? Maybe you need an escape, like I said in my forest tutorial. So thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you in the next podcast. And that's it. Bye.
I was in a game drought. You know the feeling. There are games we play because we gotta play something, and it's better this than nothing. You get stuck here long enough, you start drifting back to television and Snapchat, but you know that's not where you belong. So you try this and that, new free games on Steam, recommendations from friends or Reddit. So many Tinder dates grasping at straws, desperate to feel that spark you felt before. Some games hope with fancy graphics and $100 million marketing campaigns they'll win you over with sheer force, like the sugar daddy pumping away furiously while you're making grocery lists in your head wondering when he'll finish. And meanwhile, what you're really thirsting for is that game that will finally grab you by the balls and punish you for looking at anything else, that holds you down and makes you come till your calves cramp, ravaging you like the desperate slut you hope polite society and your friends at brunch never find out you truly are. I'm looking for the kind of game that scares the industry, starves other franchises, and fucks up stocks. The kind of game that threatens civilization, kids cutting class, teachers getting fired, power linemen burning down California after they show up to work on 2 hours of sleep, MLB players walking on field with carpal tunnel syndrome they developed in 7 days, Korean knife fights, divorce, health epidemics, and threats to global GDP. Secretly, we're all just looking for the kind of game that will fuck up our lives and everybody else's. I'd come crawling back to COD like the godforsaken lonely hoe that I am. He's been in and out of jail 6 times, and he goes through my purse while I'm sleeping, but at least he knows my G-spot. He's on top, and I am dead inside, but then boom! Someone kicks in the front door. Police! Walks in and blows my lover's brains out. Mounts me, and we make love in the bloody remains and bits of gray matter. My game drought is over. Out of nowhere, Apex Legends leaked. 48 hours later, it had dropped. Within 3 days, it had 10 million players. Within 5 days, 25 million. And at this point, has hit 50 million players, doing so much faster than Fortnite. It was the most watched game on Twitch, where it remained for some time. It's getting perfect review scores from critics. I know I found a good game when I feel guilty about last night's bedtime. I was playing with my cousin's clan, the Scragglers, a bunch of grown-ass men yucking it up about feeling guilty for neglecting their wives, jobs, and children. Yeah, it sounds like my kind of game. In an industry that so often disappoints, it's important to pay attention when a game pleasantly surprises. After all, there are plenty of Battle Royale games at this point. Why is this one blowing up and not just considered another ripoff? Why is Respawn's latest entry doing so well when its previous 2 major releases fizzled out despite receiving similar critical acclaim? There have been several indications this game is taking off faster and is poised to potentially become as big as or even bigger than Fortnite. A game which many analysts agree has had a massive, disruptive impact on the entire industry, permanently reshaping it. If the release of Apex Legends has a similar effect, showing that Fortnite wasn't a one-off freak accident but just the first in a trending avalanche set to obliterate any last scrap of the industry's last decade, does this game signal the end of an era and the beginning of a new one? It was, after all, much of the talent at Respawn Entertainment that arguably ushered in the previous era with COD 4. Have they done it again? The most fascinating thing about Apex's success is the abrupt way it released, with less than 48 hours of hype or advertising. This stands in stark contrast to what has become conventional marketing with every other game, where we know about the game 6 to 18 months in advance, where before its release we've seen an announcement trailer, E3 trailer, multiplayer trailer, single-player trailer, first 15 minutes of gameplay, endgame footage, and all the gameplay in between from literally hundreds of hours of streamers and tubers footage. The modern marketing campaign has become the movie trailer that basically tells you so much it almost defeats the purpose of going to see the movie yourself. It's also why so many games feel like disappointments, because even a great game will often begin to fizzle in your imagination 2 months in, and when you look back and realize you spent more time being hyped for the game than you did actually playing it, you feel a little bit silly and misled. It's like in politics, how before an election or a debate, a candidate's surrogates are always trying to downplay expectations, because then if their candidate sucks eggs, it's not that big of a deal, but if he pwns noobs, it is. Game publishers seem to do the opposite. They spend months talking up their candidate like he's fucking Cicero, and then all too often they send out Rick Perry.
Oops.
If they had come out and told the world that this was a BR ripoff Titanfall game but without titans or wall running and loot box microtransactions, it would have been dead on arrival. The internet's cynicism would have kneecapped it long before release, but without 6 months of snarky Reddit comments to define it in the public's imagination, people simply got to experience it for themselves, and they liked what they saw because the game has to rely purely on its gameplay quality. It's worth pointing out that the other juggernaut of our time, Fortnite Battle Royale, was hyped and released in a very similar way. Small marketing campaign, limited media interest, but then it blew up almost entirely on its gameplay quality. Is this the end of behemoth blockbuster marketing campaigns? Are we approaching a future in which E3 is irrelevant and instead we live every day in breathless anticipation, knowing that at any random moment an incredible landscape-altering game could drop out of nowhere like a bolt of lightning and change everyone's lives forever? Without the industrial hype complex there to salvage sales if it flopped, Apex blew up purely because of its gameplay. Many critics have been all too quick to chalk up Apex's success to a collection of little things. Yes, the ping system is a sick innovation that every BR should have had years ago. Yes, sliding is dope and the jump master mechanic makes for a much smoother BR experience. But it's not the little things that have allowed this game to excel. Apex success is rooted in having found the perfect middle ground between Fortnite's wackiness and PUBG's intensity. Fun is a fickle concept, difficult to define and measure. It's why reviewing games is so hard, why so many reviews get it so wrong so often, why so many players have to find their one niche critic. 2 players can look at the exact same game and have diametrically opposed reactions. As I see it, PUBG and Fortnite have always sat on complete opposite ends of the Battle Royale spectrum. For any given player, what is fun in one is repulsive in the other. PUBG is a bare-bones tactical shooter. Its game mechanics are minimalist, its experience is super consistent from one match to the next, its joy is in the thrill of difficult, high-octane, concentrated gunfighting, and only difficult, high-octane, concentrated gunfighting, which is how many players prefer it. It's why COD titles so often include an entire set of bare-bones playlists that disable any mechanics mechanics that allow people to get kills by means other than winning a gunfight. Meanwhile, Fortnite is a whack-a-daddle doodle fest. Increasingly absurd game mechanics, novel, experimental, hectic, and unpredictable, the building and destruction exponentially diversifying the gameplay and combat scenarios you find yourself in. In PUBG, you can often predict what the next 90 seconds of combat will look like. I will push up to this tree, he may try and nade me there, or push to my right, etc. In Fortnite, you often never have any idea what the next 90 seconds will look like. Is this guy going to build 50 blocks in the air and jump off with a hoverboard to snipe me in the head? Or are we just going to rush each other with shoddy, screaming like hyenas? Anything can happen at any moment, and often does. The Fortnite player thinks PUBG is dull, while the PUBG player thinks Fortnite is dumb. Apex threads the needle between both. The hero abilities add a dimension of batshit. Fights constantly evolving in the chaos of airstrikes, smoke screens, gas traps, teleporters, and bubble shields, keeping things unpredictable and fresh, allowing the clever player to innovate and coordinate their gameplay, gassing a building's interior after calling an airstrike on it. Smokescreen and pulse vision to fuck up blinded enemies, and of course my favorite, baiting enemies into your teleporter, only for them to find a firing squad lined up on the other side. All kinds of clever plays and super chaotic encounters, unpredictable, the thrill of having no idea what's going on or what's going to happen next. It's fun, but not overdone, as it's become in Fortnite, where as time went on and streamers became popular, everyone became addicted to building, and even 1v1 encounters often devolved into pissing contests to see who could get their 1x1 tower the highest the fastest, where every fight became less and less about the gunfighting and more about the fort building, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's how it's supposed to be, but it's a turnoff to players who are more interested in the shooter appeal than the Minecraft aspect. Epic may have recognized this. You'll notice a great deal of the updates they rolled out in 2018 were designed to dampen the prevalence of buildings, miniguns, LMGs, C4, not to mention the across-the-board reduction to resource gathering in general. There were a lot of players, myself included, who felt the game strayed too far from its core shooter mechanics. Like, bro, I'm not interested in playing Bob the Builder with some fuckwit 10-year-old who I know will win because he had all this practice on games I never bothered picking up like Minecraft and Roblox. Not to mention the copious hours I know they've spent watching Ninja, who might as well be this generation's version of the fucking Wiggles. Apex is able to have the creative mechanics and a diverse set of potential combat encounters that gives it a leg up on PUBG, which essentially has no mechanics more interesting or unique than throwing a grenade. But it's not so overdone to a point of obnoxiousness that takes away from the gunplay like in Fortnite. I think it's important to understand this. As this industry so often pumps out hyped up games that turn out to be really rather dull, reviewers, players, and developers have to do a better job of understanding what fun is. Apex isn't fun because of the ping system or the sliding, it's the mechanics and how they are scaled to provide the best of both worlds relative to the two extremes on either end of the Battle Royale market right now. But for people to experience that gameplay for themselves on such a wide scale, for the limited marketing to have worked, this game had to have been free to play. Otherwise, not nearly as many people would have even tried it. With games like Apex and Fortnite using the F2P model to blow past competitors like Black Ops 4 and Battlefield 5 that are outspending them on production and marketing 25-1, it's hard to imagine this isn't the model most games will have to adopt going forward. But is that a good thing? Don't get me wrong, I love getting free games that are funded by dumbasses who drop hard-earned money on in-game cosmetics they won't care about in a few months. But there's a wider implication here that many analysts are missing. I recently read an article about economic inequality and how it's shaping modern markets. It detailed how as the gulf between consumer classes continues to widen, that's being reflected in the kinds of companies that thrive or die. Basically, the companies doing great today are the ones catering to the poor, like the dollar store, or the ones catering to the very wealthy, like Amazon Go. Meanwhile, companies like Sears that traditionally appeal to the middle class are getting wiped out. You can see this dynamic being played out in our games as well. After all, what are microtransactions if not virtual dollar stores? Not everyone can comfortably afford that many $60 titles, but everyone can drop a few bucks here and there on some dumb shit. At the same time, we know the microtransaction model is also designed to profit off what the industry calls whales, individuals willing to drop thousands of dollars on skins. Thus, the microtransaction system is perfectly suited to the age of income inequality, giving the poor something they can afford and the rich a bottomless pit to sink their excess dough into. Though I ought to mention there have been recorded instances in which whales aren't rich, but just really dumb poor people. Inequality would also explain the rise of the Mega Deluxe Special Collector's Edition crap. Absurd excuses to milk excessively wealthy people for $400 on a $60 game. Thus we see the rise of free-to-play microtransactions and deluxe edition culture, while the standard $60 titles of the past are clearly struggling, with more and more of those kinds of titles being cancelled, scaled back, or simply flopping, seemingly going the way of Sears. More and more studios are being shut down, developers laid off en masse. The articles mention that even though the lower classes are technically spending less money, they aren't necessarily getting better value. To quote the Washington Post, often the low prices are maintained by shrinking the package size, resulting in less bang for the buck. In other words, this is stuff purchased by people who need to stretch their money to make it last to the next paycheck. People who can't afford to look for the best bargain. Could this be taking place in our games as well? Gamers are still spending a lot of money, often still end up spending $60 on in-game items, but the question is, when it's all said and done, are they actually getting more value out of their collection of skins and emotes than they would out of an actual new game like Red Dead 2 or Spider-Man? Are they getting as many hours played out of Fortnite and Apex as they might out of all the games that have gotten squeezed out since those games blew up? Undoubtedly some are, but then some certainly couldn't be. The fact is, if you don't care for Battle Royale very much, then the ongoing success of these titles, and the way they're muscling out so many other games, is likely a net negative for you, ultimately damaging the options available to your gaming diet, even more so now that every non-BR game is rushing to become one itself. Just as in real life we have lost Sears and other middle-class stores, gradually limiting the bottom two-thirds of America to options like dollar stores, are we losing something similar in our gaming? When we look at the increasingly dire outlook for games that simply can't rely on free-to-play microtransactions, such as story-driven or single-player games being cancelled because not enough people are willing to dish the $60, and who's going to buy in-game items in a game that has no other players, and in which acquiring the in-game items through gameplay is supposed to be like the whole point to the game anyways? Right now, major publishers are struggling to hit their quarterly profit targets, all uniformly blaming Fortnite. If it's inflicting $100 million losses on juggernauts like EA, you have to wonder what kind of effect it's having downstream, on smaller publishers, on indie devs. How many games and studios are being snuffed out of existence by the free-to-play juggernaut and its bullshit cosmetics? At the same time, many argue that games like Fortnite are growing the entire industry, benefiting everyone as a rising tide lifts all boats. But imagine if the billions of dollars that have been spent on Fortnite skins and emotes had instead been spent on actual video games. How many games might not have had to have been cancelled? How many games might exist today that don't? Are we trading a more diverse industry for a cheaper, more homogenous one? If Apex Legends only accelerates this trend, will its success come at a steep price? The For the Win query of the day is, do you think free-to-play Battle Royale is a net positive or negative for the industry, and or you as an individual? Thanks for watching. This is Batman, signing out.
A higher endurance. The same is true for your brain. The mental ability you develop now will aid you when you have to learn some new technology or survive some new global crisis. I genuinely believe every hour you spend playing video games is a more valuable investment in your future than any hour spent in class. I don't think class trains your brain for shit. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a glaring disparity between those who game and those who don't. Everyone's been doing nothing but classrooms for 100 years, and where's it gotten us? If classrooms worked, we wouldn't be in the pickle we're in now. I think class trains you to get good at memorizing things and following instructions. I think our problems as a country are the result of our being led by a generation of teachers' pets who don't know how to solve a problem when they don't have a piece of paper telling them how to solve it. So they just shit their pants and hope for the best. Right now, some of you are listening to this in the background of your Zoom class. I want you to look at the top right corner of your screen. There's a big red X button. I want you to go ahead and click that motherfucker right now. Cut every class you can. Burn your homework. Cast it into the flames. And they'll tell you it's reckless and irresponsible, but just remember what's happening to the generation that preceded you. Over the last few months, tens of millions have filed for unemployment. In response, the White House began a Find Something New jobs program where Ivanka Trump helps people, and I quote, learn a completely new skill because COVID is an opportunity for a new trajectory in their lives. This is the government putting the most positive spin it can on a dark truth. Most of the jobs people lost during this crisis aren't coming back ever. Most of the people losing their jobs will have to start from scratch at the bottom of some new industry, some new company. If these jobs come at all, they will come in the middle of our 5th recession in 2 decades. They are certain to pay less than the jobs they are replacing. The workers themselves, having dedicated most of their productive hours for most of their lives to jobs that no longer exist, developing skills that are no longer relevant, will have less value than ever before to the system. This system will take everything from you, and when it's done, it will discard you. The politicians will say they feel sorry for you, the media will write stories about you, the businessmen will sell you synthetic heroin to make you feel better, but nobody will actually do anything to help you. We are a nation of mercenaries. It is dog eat dog, every man for himself. You know this. This is how it always was. It is our greatest strength and most harrowing weakness. Social Darwinism is the only true God here. You are on your own. Be wary of trusting the conventional wisdom that has led so many others astray. If you want to truly understand the American workers' plight, watch the movie Born on the 4th of July. It documents what it was like to be a Vietnam vet, how as young men there was a tremendous amount of societal pressure to be the American military hero, to serve your country for a higher ideal, how the government portrayed the fight as a noble battle between the forces of good and evil. These belief systems coerced young men by the tens of thousands. They wanted to make the world a better place. They wanted to make mom proud. But society was wrong. and the government was lying. Instead, these men were left traumatized with the things they had done and the things that had happened to them. It didn't take long for everyone to give up on the war, but by then it was too late. We had sunk too much into it to turn back. Nobody wanted to admit we had made a mistake, so we kept at it for years, even after it was so clearly a lost cause. People stopped volunteering, so the system drafted thousands more against their will under threat of imprisonment. But we lost. It was all for nothing. And when the vets got home, they were broken, psychologically destabilized, limbless, and paralyzed. And the system that had coerced them left them to die. The war's opponents thought they were monsters. The war's advocates couldn't bear to acknowledge them. They became a collective monument to our national shame, to how foolish we had been, to the pain we had caused. They made us sad. We just wanted them to go away. It was their own damn fault. It was their problem, not ours. There was no sympathy. There was no health care. There were no veterans charities or politicians crowing about taking care of vets. They were too disabled to work, so we left them behind. They died on street corners and in hotel rooms, broken and alone, in wheelchairs with catheters, numbed on drugs and alcohol. Today, the exact same thing is happening to another generation of young men who've grown old and are killing themselves in numbers greater than all the lives we lost in the real Vietnam combined. They fought, and these 40 or 50-year-olds must have fought so hard for so long, but no relief ever came, and we just left them there to die alone. And the media will come up with clever alliterative nicknames like Deaths of Despair, and the comedy shows will make fun of the pharma execs who got them hooked on heroin before they died, and the politicians will say they can save you in exchange for a vote, but nobody will actually do anything. American capitalism has become its own Vietnam. Like Vietnam, victory is always right around the corner. It's more money, a new car, it's a bigger house, it's that next promotion. Like Vietnam, victory never comes. Because these things can't make you happy. The data tells us this, the people who've actually gotten that stuff tell us this. Like Vietnam, there's a great deal of cultural pressure and government strong-arming to participate exactly the way they tell you, even if it's not actually in your best interests. And like Vietnam, you will be left wounded. Pain is not weakness leaving the body. Pain is your body telling you it is sustaining damage. This is as true for pain in your mind and heart as it is your body. To fix this pain, we engage in self-destructive behavior, addiction, negligence, infidelity, and end up only feeling worse. Anger is a chemical response to pain, and unsurprisingly, a deep, ungovernable rage has manifested itself throughout all American society. We believe mistakenly that everything would be better if we could just destroy the people who don't think like us. And all the meanwhile, we can't shed the true source of our pain, our fucking jobs, because then everyone would think we were irresponsible losers, and we can't even work less, because that would mean buying less things, and then they'll start cutting jobs, because everything we buy justifies somebody else's survival. Because if as a society, we stopped rapidly replacing our cars, clothes, and furniture every couple of years, if companies built their products to last, if we tried to make our products last, most of the country would have starved to death by now. We dedicate most of our lives to a job, building skills for an industry, and one day a virus or a new technology will come along and wipe the industry out, and the only things we are good at will be irrelevant, and we will be left crippled just as if we were in a wheelchair, useless to the system. Because our lives do not have value if we do not have something to trade. And like Vietnam, the system will discard us. They will repo our cars, evict us from our homes, and liquidate our assets down to the clothes on our back to pay off the predatory student loan debts we aren't allowed to declare bankruptcy on. Just like in 08, just like right now. We are at this very moment sowing the seeds for the next wave of deaths of despair. One thing everything agreed on in 2016 was that Trump's election was an expression of rage. Everyone was like, wow, Trump voters are really pissed off. And Trump voters were like, yeah, we're really pissed off. Commentators were calling it, and I quote, a primal scream of rage. And what was most remarkable about that was that the bulk of his support came from the elderly, from the boomers. The boomers who came up when the economy was actually doing really well. So remember, if you want to be like them, if you want to end your life screaming in primal rage, go ahead and do it how they did it. Go to school, get a job, work hard, build your 401k. Or we could try something else. It was Churchill who knew us best when he said Americans always do the right thing once they've tried everything else first. Well, this whole hereditary oligarchy consumer capitalism thing has been a lot of fun. Sorry it didn't work out, but it's time to move the fuck on. The COVID crisis is forcing a reckoning that this country has put off for far too long. We talk mad shit about how we have the best system, glad 300 million people spent the last 60 years building a system that was brought to its knees by a dead bat who ate its own shit on the other side of the world. Pour one out for the system, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, I'm gonna miss this bullshit, not. The Spanish flu, both world wars, the Great Depression, all these things laid bare the profound weaknesses of the systems in practice at the time, resulting in profound societal and cultural changes. Monarchies were overthrown and replaced. Robber barons were brought to heel. The UN was established, and America got its New Deal. I wish positive change could occur in a vacuum, but history makes it clear we have to be prodded to it by misery like the stubborn bastards we are. So be it. Our current system should have been undone by Vietnam or by 9/11 and the Iraq War scandal. It should have been undone by the Great Recession, but like a cockroach colony, it persists. It has gotten stronger, smarter. It knows how to weather a storm. We must not let it weather this one. It defies any basic understanding of morality, that millions of people are going to suffer so profoundly because a system they have no control over got pulverized by a problem they had nothing to do with. It makes the blood boil that the oligarchs who control the government, who bear the most responsibility for this whole thing, are made stronger and safer by the crisis, while regular people bear the brunt of their incompetence. This is the kind of profound injustice that used to inspire revolution. But we aren't even talking about it. Because the Unabomber spoke true, they're getting better at controlling our minds. Instead of taking a critical look at the system destroying us, what are we doing? We're getting in Facebook arguments. Oh, because, well, she said this and she got fired, and it's hypocritical because one time he said that and he didn't get fired, and these two were on their lawn and that really intimidated me, and this other person was cussing someone out in a parking lot, and they tore down a statue in Boston that I didn't even know existed, but I'm still really sad about it, and Nick Cannon talked shit about white people and it hurt my feelings so bad, and now I'm worried the Black Panthers are gonna hunt me down. Let me tell you something right now. Facebook arguments have a 0% success rate of changing anyone's mind about anything. It is emotionally stunted adults having temper tantrums about things that don't actually even affect them and which they have no control over. I'm not judging. This used to be me. But then something crazy happened. I grew the fuck up. This may blow your mind, but there are 350 million people in this country and another 7 billion around the world. Every day for the rest of your life, there will be people getting into arguments and altercations. People will be unfair and rude and racist and unreasonable and say dumb shit, and there will be fistfights and people will break the law and get arrested by cops who abuse their power. You getting personally involved in every single one of those altercations accomplishes nothing. Go bash your head into the wall for a few hours. It will be just as productive a use of your time and will do less damage to your mental health and that of others. Facebook encourages these arguments because controversial content drives user engagement, and they make a shitload of money off of all the ads you are subconsciously processing while you own a 12-year-old in Canada about the dangers of cultural appropriation. The politicians encourage these culture wars because it keeps their voters loyal. The goal is to fill you with enough nihilistic contempt that you'll let them shit in your mouth as long as the other side has to smell it. To make you so afraid of the other side that you'll cover for all your own side's bullshit. Because whatever their flaws, they'll keep you safe from the other half of the country that wants to fuck you to death. And most importantly, it means they are never put in the uncomfortable position of having to choose between the diametrically opposed interests of their voters and their donors. The oligarchs profit financially and are shielded politically by your Facebook arguments. Whatever good you think you may be doing, I assure you, it's not worth the cost. They have stuck a 12-inch dildo into your brain, and they are laughing at you while you lose your mind. The COVID crisis, the next 2 years of recession, may be our last best chance for reform. We cannot afford to blow it on brainwashed Facebook battles. Maybe you'll get someone fired from the other side, maybe you'll raise attention for an important issue, and guess what? Nothing will change. Just like nothing significant has changed in the last 10 years, despite all the crazy social media wars we've gotten into in that time. The day-to-day suffering that we all face will continue. Our cage will remain intact. Instead, we should seize this moment to build something new. The match has already begun. It will last about the next 2 years, during which time we're going to be in a recession. The oligarch's goal is to herd everyone back into work and school as quickly as possible, to pretend this was a blip in the system so that we all move on without thinking about it too much or addressing the systemic change we obviously need. Our goal is not to let that happen. Our goal is to make it clear we aren't going back to how things were, that the system failed us miserably and we have no desire to give it a second go, nor are we obliged to. The oligarchs' go-to strategy beyond the culture wars will be shame. They will argue we shouldn't feel sorry for millions of misplaced workers because they are lazy and deserve this shit. They will argue that we can't help them because then it will be harder for their employers to put them back on the leash. Don't let it happen. I speak now directly to all you hard workers out there, all you big believers in the value of hard work and personal responsibility. I want you to take all your hard work and blow it out your fucking ass, you stupid morons. You have broken the country. Your hard work is for nothing. While you were busy working hard, you forgot to tend to your civic duties, you big dumb fucks. You forgot to use your goddamn brain for anything besides the production of stupid crap that nobody even needs. Your hard work fanaticism is just another bullshit ego trip to make yourself feel good by putting others down. You are Agent Smith. You are Uncle Tom. You are subservient clowns that the oligarchs use to advance their most destructive propaganda, that people should blame themselves for their precarious economic conditions instead of questioning the system. Your ability to produce capital makes you as special, wise, and unique as my ability to take a shit makes me. There is one other key difference researchers have found between those who game and those who don't. Gamers have a greater sense of morality. We are made more ethical, more altruistic by our games. They have taught us empathy and community, two things which have no place in the dog-eat-dog capitalism we practice in the real world and are thus in such short supply. We know there is a greater calling in this life than struggling for our personal consumption of resources and capital. There is a beautiful world here, filled with wonderful people. It is worth fighting for. The hour grows late, the night dark. The enemies of liberty and equality grow stronger. Nihilism runs rampant through the streets. The oligarchy is all-powerful, but we've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they're not invincible. This country was born in chaos, and to chaos we return. All the better, for it is in chaos that America thrives. Our greatest mistake was letting the teachers' pets poison us with their goodly brain words so they could make everything all neat and organized, predictable and weak, homogeneous and vulnerable. We let the American people grow soft and afraid of the unknown. When the Pilgrims left England, when generations of immigrants left their homelands all around the world, when cowboys came west to manifest destiny and American slaves threw off their chains, they were all driven by a desire to create their own lives, to reject systems that exploited them, to shed the predetermined rules, requirements, and beliefs that others had bound them to. Our forefathers understood that when a conflict arises between the individual and the system, it is the system that must break, or otherwise be left behind. Never were these the easier lives to choose. By all accounts, it was more dangerous, required harder work and greater sacrifice than had they stayed. There was pain, there was loss, but there was also hope, triumph, and adventure. They lived full lives that to this day we tell each other stories about. Their struggles won a better world for their children, for their children's children, and for every one of us to walk the earth since then. The new frontiers that we must conquer for our descendants are not geographical locations. They are new ways of thinking, new ways of producing, new ways of living. We must find these new frontiers. We must conquer them. To those whose circumstances have left them no way out, I say this: hang in there. Hold the line. No man left behind. Change is in the air. And when we look at the news today, it is easy to be afraid. But I am not afraid. I am excited. Because the only thing worse than the unknown is the known, and everything is going exactly according to plan. Because the patterns of history are not a flat line, they are a series of great upheaval and transitions, and no matter how difficult and frightening these transitions may be, always on the other side is a better world. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. Many people wonder what the point of life is. I think it is rather obvious. We are meant to enjoy our lives, to flourish, and to strive for others' joy and flourishment as well. This is the natural standard most people live by when they don't overthink it too much. We ease into a natural cycle of enjoying ourselves and laboring so that the fruits of our labor might contribute to others' joy. Because fittingly, the greatest joys are often found in making yourself useful to your fellow man. The point to life is children's laughter, McFlurries, jacuzzis, orgasms. The point to life is others enjoying the song you wrote, the house you built, and the food you made, the security you provided, the functionality you created. In this way, like every other system in nature, we form a self-sustaining, perfect cycle. But our current system makes that cycle impossible. The purpose of life is incompatible with modern education and economic systems. In the new world, life will be valued simply because it is life. I don't care if they are the laziest, dumbest, fattest fucks in human history. They will live. If they never lift a finger for anyone else, they will live. God damn it, I give zero fucks about what is fair. There is life and there is death. I prefer the former and will not cede an inch to the latter, even if it's the fairest fucking thing on earth. Only then will we know love. Love of others, love of ourselves, love of country, love of life. To prioritize our economic production in the absence of these things is to gloat about our KDs while we lose the match. And in the meantime, my fellow gamers, game on. And do not be dissuaded by the haters, be they the brainwashed, responsible people who run this country into the ground, or the poisoned voices in your head they've planted there. Embrace the game, embrace the joys, embrace your friends and play and see every new world and meet every new challenge and bask in the ambiance of your own humanity. And do not be content with misery. Do not be content to sell most of the hours of your life to others who don't even pretend to appreciate it. Do not let the system break you. Do not feel beholden to boredom and cold, lifeless classrooms and offices. For that is no life worth living at all. Your heart is free, bitch! Thanks for watching. This is Batman, signing out.
Gas is moving in. New safe zone location.
Oh.
What movement?
That's how you get it done.
masks are very important.
To mask or not to mask? Health experts say it shouldn't even be a question.
I wear a mask all the time.
It's him. He's the one doing this.
It's almost like he's reshaping the planet to his own liking. These legends, what did they believe?
Ghidorah, the one who's many.
Okay, our mission begins now. Let us rain some doom down upon the filthy heads of our doomed enemies. I gotta sing the doom song now. Doom, 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 doom.
The flow is towing, precision as an afro trim. All big letters, but it isn't no acronym. Smack the thin grin off a chin for crack smoking. DDT the first ball, leave the track back broken. Grown men doing business with Anglo-Saxon them. Lacking swing, but that banjo's so relaxing as the wax spin. Hacking axes in the wind, pretend it's just a pen. See if you can pencil them in. Tense, mention men are on the fence, thin sentences tens. The wheels fall off, then it's the end. Don't get keel hauled in, villain always been. Feel real, genuine ball skin. Not to call the whole crowd out, it's just a few chumps. They know who you are like a shout out. Place them in your loud mouth and taste them like a pastry. Waste of space, face hastily, bow out gracefully. Disappear, reappear, disappear again. Filling out his hair, he's no Afro-American. If that's the case, he'd be a bald-headed African. Taking all the credit and jetted astral traveling. Turn a man into a mannequin for Aflacking. And being tough actors and acting bluff jacket. He wears a mask so when he draws his face, each and every race could absorb the base in the place. Don't believe the hyperbole. It's like a murder spree, get sniped verbally. Beat in the head with lead pipe languages. The street cred, leave him for dead and anguishness. The slang suggestion was the guy in the glasses. He came to help the people with their minds and their asses. They said trip and get a grip like Spalding. These walls are thin, feel genuine ball skin.
Will you please stop singing?
He moves the crowd like a cursor on doom. No curse words, doom. The worst church nerd first heard. Appeared blurred to a million true believers. Here's the super villain arm dealer to the divas. Cat amongst underworld scandals. But a pearl handles to match your girl's sandals. Plan with half five pack of old vandals. The flag with a black and gold patch with bloody anvil. Hit him to the head, what's the motto? One more time to make sure them dead, Blocko. When you throw blows in a knife fight, Flocko. That's how it goes in this modern life like Rocco. Clock goes 24/7 cycle. When it comes to flows, he got more than a mic full. Pull abroad like a dyke bull on a long bid. Messing with the wrong kids, Michael. It ain't Jackson for him to flip grips like camera, action, villain. Law by the laws of attraction to future generations, information, the black one. Move the crowd like a Buddha cloud, the purple. Puff, puff, pass round the circle. A jerk well renowned for his work skill. Out the proof of the computers down, Urkel. MC is shown via Wi-Fi. Paid way before we wrapped it up like tie-dye. Hip-hop sci-fi, you can see he had the eye of the tiger through the mask like the Fry Guy. Just made a baby old neck, don't check left some folks' ancestral home wreck. With blown backs, these lesser known facts, born evil. We got no reason, like short people. No offense, the street would burn grass. Whenever he walked on the street, he turned glad. On his lucky rat's paw in the crap drawer. All the world he stays with the trap door, slack jaw. Logic to keep your mind in the project. Drop the check, the job is the top net. That's just payback for noses, no sight though. What they don't know like bone. Won't hurt Jimmy squat. Got to be kidding me. Not seriously plot. Put a hit out on the D-spot. Chip like using all their kettles and their teapot.
That's right.
The mask is definitely kind of a new dynamic that our bodies are getting used to, right? Not only do we have the inside mouth problems, but remember the mask me? That is
I do. I remember that too. Yeah.
I've showed our producers the inside of my mask that I've been wearing this week that I have to watch. And it's like covered with
Dirts.
We've had contact with them.
Contact?
Radio. They speak our language. Well, not quite. We've received messages from their spaceships.
General, what's this all got to do with me?
Well, you've been in charge of saucer field activity for a long while. I think it's about time you heard these recordings.
A modern day marvel, but terrible, meta horrible. When he grabbed the mic from Son and crushed up all his metacarpals, he said he ain't mean it, totally by accident. After the show, he didn't follow where y'all taxi went. Bullets be available on Wax Axe Max Mill. They all in opposition to his ass whack tax bill. Or will it pass the Senate? slumlord tenant and a super like 1A. Have a fun stay. One day, he plan to put in a runway with enough land for his own projects and gunplay. Section 8 penthouse made look like Faye Dunaway. A lot of y'all ass out like gay runaway. It's how they say semi-risque. All day, every day, give out Emmys the quick way. Have the average MC say, give me a sick day. They really ain't got shit to say like Timmy McVeigh. Get a hunch, a real ragtag bunch. In school he kept a do-rag in a bag lunch. Just to eat heads on some breakdance shit and spit. He ripped this skit in Sanskrit. If the pants fit, sport him a rock and roll. Your man like follow on the slow, can't knock it though. It's like the same hustle, bro, two knuckles glow. Tucked in the Tigo, just let the name buckle show. Good googly moogly, see that loogie? Yeah, keep it on the DL Hughley. You don't watch her, he might house her like Doogie. Just to cut a Lucy like Mitsurugi. Who he gumdrops, who he got a style from his pops. You gotta give the bum some props. Action sister, her beatbox is more thicker. Doom that nigga, detox with more liquor. Villain for hire, admire the sound. Make sure the price is right before you come on down. Rappers be on some you. Forgot who they talking to. Too much pork stew.
Man, wait a minute, you asshole, wait a minute. I'm tired of his horse shit now. And that's the third time I made a present from you ran off. I don't mind for me, that's my marsh. They brought some cake and everything. Bastard, is he kidding? Was he too good for everybody? He saw the only thing came out, he's made coffee and cake, and that schmuck rides off. And he laughed at us, I'm telling you. He went high like that. He's no good, I'm telling you. The fink.
I would like to introduce the newest, hopeless appendage to the student body. His name is Doom.
The supervillain get kicked out your country and said the pledge reads 6 times monthly. He ain't hardly go to school, but known to rock a party and do karate on a pool. Get your whole dome strangled. While in London town, he sported a chrome Kango. Did his best to blend in, even till the ending, borderline pretending, not quite. Do it matter where you from? The more if you scared, prepared, a man come. Hold that thought, youngins all thirst to get the old man caught. That's a passport, and a task short, another random thought. Show your support for the troops in the street. Before a treaty put a scoop of proof in the beat. Gotta get it looping complete. So once you do the hula hoops, you spin it with a treat. Ball, beat them all, that's the daily affirmation. Like every day the same songs play at the radio station. We need to change their compilation before we start replacing causing complication. Watch what comes pouring out your face skin. Listen in the waistman, the boring conversation.
Am I the only one here who sees the alien sitting in class?
He's an alien! One of the monsters I've been talking about! He's here to conquer Earth!
Oh, not this again.
We'll see, the style is still clad. Y'all need to practice like he needs some pussy real bad. And that's the most he can emphasize. Never tell a lie when he boasts, temperature rise. Keep it on the humble, speak it on the mumble. Deep dive and tumble. Back when his feet fold, tremble and crumble. Send your best wide receiver, incomplete, fumble. The whole team rumble. Remember, it's just a game. Keep your helmet on, numbskull. Things can get uncomfortable and sticky. That's why he wear a metal mask. I must be dreaming in the daytime, company scheming. I think I see him by the ley line near the fauna. Wouldn't wanna be him, he's a corner. Laid out in the gutter, see him on your corner, foreigner.
Excuse me, can we interrupt for 2 minutes? Where are you going?
Hello, friends. I am a perfectly normal human worm baby. You have nothing, absolutely nothing to fear from me. Just pay no attention to me and we'll get along just fine.
Would you take that thing off? Take off that stupid mask.
Man never ran with crows in his hand and won't stop rocking till he clocked in a gazillion grand. Filling the wasteland sand. Raps on backs of treasure maps, stacks to the ceiling fan. He rests on his ashes. Ask him after 10 miles of his galoshes, smashes, stashes. Chip on the shoulder with a slip-on holster. A clip, a folder, and his grip on a folder. Most of they supposed to know. The show with his aura glow. Get from out the road when he get dough, it's horrible. Time is money, spend, waste, save, invest, invest. 10K's a cave of chicken chest has. Yes, y'all the double get your trickles. The best ball is pitch in and rub to get a nickels. But tut, he about to change the price again. Ignore him each time he blow up like hydrogen. Feel it here, have him thrilling in fear. It won't stop pop ill until he a gazillionaire, grilling stare. Yeah, your boy had drama. Got him on the mental plane, avoided bad karma. One solar in-brand, skinhead, a nigga joke. Plus a brand new chrome smoker with the triggers broke. I thought I told him fire and pins were separate. Find out later when he tries to go and rep it. Took a Jehovah money for an Arabic Torah. Charging the dance to translate it and ignore the sorta. One monkey don't stop, no slaughter. A junkie want a cop a quarter ton run for the border. Know the drill, it ain't worth the overkill. Flow skill, still, it's no thrill. Fill it, burn your 10K bills in this filler. Feeling when it gets realer, split the skrilla with Dilla. Mix. Love do a deal for kicks and get rich quick. Sketch lyric that's about a nick on some Vic. Lick from the drumstick, come with the dumb stick. Sick, slick, hidden in the book. The only way they find it is spitting in a hook. Listen, don't look now. Keep walking, traded 3 beans for this cow. She talk Hawkman, stalking here and we hawking often. Talking to a coffin, might as well scoff the cork then. He's like walk, some say stronger though. Off the top, say strong bow, play along bro. Wear a mask like yo off the gong show. Flow slow as Mongo, Don Juan Thong Pro. For your info, when he's not practicing Jim Crow. Practicing some info bimbo. He's playing Ray J, the old tape. Doing well, what can I say, like JJ and a gold cape.
What's going on, Gas? What's he up to? Some sort of hypnosis. It might have something to do with that thing on his head.
The lusty shoulder story, Brody and the Mr. Crowley. For those embarrassed to know holy of the thou holy habits. Paris to the goal, we bring him up to speed slowly. On the low key, Kindles with Tony D. Taste stale, see the words in shades of grayscale. Right there, black and white, protected by chainmail. Today's the day, major ways, see us kiss to them. Take my little friends with a total love, kiss to them. These oversensitive young ninjas on some new stuff. Can't sit still and focus the time it takes to do enough. From the main streets of the can I get $1 dude above measure. The singular pleasure of solitude. It's your poison. You so choose absorbent. Names to the brain. Shoot off into orbit. How you know Octagon? Or much less tetragrammaton. To get the good stuff, you gotta get out to the Amazon. With any luck, you might just score locally. Keep it on the hush when you're speaking on it vocally. Then you gotta be on the end of no member. I think I still own little something since November, whatever. Give me credit when cash speak, forget it. Sweat sitting on his packages last week. We all got weaknesses, even the function dead. Some are in the fudging numbers, bugging and lunching instead. Jack tricks in the head, second best trick to get tricks in the bag.
Try to conquer an alien world. Remember, never underestimate the small threats, like germs. Yes, germs. Every planet has them, and many an invading life form has been boarded by these invisible enemies.
It's true.
So whether you're out conquering worlds or just concerned about these tiny pests, make sure you're prepared with a pair of germ-spotting micro goggles. Click here for a free 5-second demo.
Brush your teeth.
Willing to hold the mic like he's mean and his tummy hurt in a clean pair of ripped jeans and a bummy shirt. Wondering would you clap your hands if he was friendly. Got the damn dipped and pretend to be Fendi and gold selling. No telling, slap a fair hand down, tell him no yelling. Do all capitals, no trick spelling. Got what it take to get it through your dick melon. Fresh witty city skits when he get wrecked. Pretty MCs catch titty fits. Told him call the cops, don't hold hold the breath for the ball to drop. Better yet, hold on to your hold the top. Kept reppin', steppin' in hotter, ignoring pigs like pigs, top shotter, survivor of a live crew, not out to jive you. It stings when he laugh, when he had the bank drive through. Wildin', get me every red penny. So the lonely, only child, the imaginary enemy. When he sees the mask and the microphone gizmo, he's the broke host, this is like his own quiz show. This go out to all my brothers doing wrong bits and sisters who got brothers being fathers to the wrong kids. Stay strong and ride like the funky flute. Won't find the villain in the street inside no monkey suit. Or either at the bar and no gorilla bra, no raceway park scoring on no silly car. Ask the stranger, he knows who you really are. Behind the mask, stay dark, no boring Willie Star. Gleaming, dreaming, screaming, he'll be off the easy soon. Cunning live rats drive at your scheming greasy spoon. In participating places, tip your waitresses. A surefire way to wire trip the matrices. Skip your laces, all black tennis miniature. Ball stack, all tall pack, Guinness minister. Tussle the hustle, cut your dank with dirt. Won't be in the club in no muscle tank shirt. You can find him in the pub with the grub stain, chugging on a small tub of pain to his bug brain, saying, some say he plumb crazy, amazed to how he still get paid, but dumb lazy. That's for him to know and for you to guess. Won't be caught in a suit vest and no computer desk. A suede front, maybe may stunt khaki dig, not in no braids or no lace front khaki wig.
It is time for disguises. I want to be a mongoose. Captain Quiet. For you, I'm thinking maybe a dog. Can I be a mongoose dog? The smell! Second. Is that your baby?
Let's talk about something you may not have realized really stank until the mask era, and that's your breath. Mask wearing is causing millions to smell for themselves what their friends, loved ones, colleagues, and others have been smelling for years.
Good to the last drop niggas, good to the last pop the bigot ass piglets. Go for the bosses, dicks are higher. Beat walkers don't get caught up in the crossfire. Get at the sarge and give the orders. The rest of them salute the force and get slaughtered. Use stealth, play alleys, yet we'd rather not alert from those federalities. Yet keep the local random cases in each state. Skate to the beaches for the season and beat straight. You on call, keep your nights on tight, no right. Anybody's help get lighted on sight. The ringers on a need to know basis. No persons, places, things, no faces. Get back, you on your own, acting alone. Back home, your family provided for while you gone. It's a price of lost snitches. If you nice, bring back eyes, figures, toes, and bitches. Send copies of those who singing the blues. Mothers and fathers who's unjustly accused. Our species is in danger. Wearing gloves and fighting in the city when you a stranger. Gotta let them fools know. Send them a message, let the POWs go. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You have your orders, do your duty. Unduly, let the shots spray. A few drops in a double espresso, gay latte. No smell nor taste, hard permissible. Wait to waste possible, maybe indivisible. Learn of a lesson within the bros' ass dresses. Along with the CEOs, names and addresses. A fake judge with many years on the bench and sent some good cash chip fear. Was head in the trench. They say her tongue was teared out, scared and drenched. The whole system scared and doubt and the fear stench. And she was tortured, some say post-mortem. The suspect took his own life before they caught him. It's real streaky like a real trifle. Remember the part the Terminator killed too. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If they get the villain surrounding sun deceiving. Shed blood, some will be shook and just look what they had in the mud. Red flood.
Have you met my friend, Pastulio? He is visiting from another place. Beautiful. I love him. You, frolicking dirt child. Meet Pastulio. Get away from me, you! I'm checked out my answer password.
Bamboozled like I'm Spike Lee. You need more than Google just to find me.
You know, I spent a lot of time at night thinking of a way that I could bring this out, bring this to a head, convince all of you people. I just want to be able to convince you that I was telling you the truth. And now it's all out there. I'm mad inside. I wasn't going to get back into professional wrestling. You brought me out. You brought it back. Because I've got the biggest challenge of my life. And I never give up. I won't give up until I prove a point. And I think most of you people know what I'm fighting for. And not give in to the establishment. I know this is an uphill battle. I know I'm fighting somebody that's bigger than God. And there's going to be a day when you're paying off people. It's going to be rectified. We're going to prevail. We're going to come through this with shining colors. Paying somebody off will never get it done, in my mind.
In my cell, I clicked my heels 3 times. Pete just tools, my khaki suit, mastermind, water whip. Toss the coke in the alkaline, platinum and gold. Rhyme English hat to the side, immaculate rhyme, immaculate rhyme. It's so obvious, watching the world from up top. Snakeskin binoculars, red companions. Cause X's on the suede mansion. My bedroom had a bedroom, my wrist be dancing, My bedroom had a bedroom, my wrist be dancing. The flyers that's living, we live and die by the kitchen. Chopping on dishes, wrapped in pot fan bitchin'. We hopped over fences, banana yellow fist pushing crack like we invented it. Jeff Kuhn, Louis Ruben, Duffel got 10 in that. Kobe Jordan, Pac, we was kicking it. Anti-social, social club with the snub, yo. Gator Tech, the little love boat. Grand Wizard, protect band, lizard, hand kiss it. Miami Beach, Geiger's on Biscayne. My shooter scene is P.O. and Biscayne. Thank God for my wrist game. Counting money in the bubble bag.